So we have closed item 6, and we are moving to item 7. Proposed revisions to the Operation Directives for the implementation of the conventions. We are going to examine 2 sets of amendments to the operational directives as a follow-up to the results of a global reflection on the listing mechanism of the convention and the reflection on a broader implementation of Article 18. Madam Secretary, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Allow me, the 2 sets of amendments that this session of the Assembly will examine follow up the results of the global reflection on the listing mechanisms of the Convention that took place for 4 years between 2018 and 2022. And both of these amendments have been endorsed by the 18th session of the committee. The first set of amendments refers to the simplification of the criteria for selection of programs, projects, and activities that best reflect the principles and objectives of the Convention, notably as regards the Register of Good Safeguarding Practices. Those are presented under Section 1 of the Annex of your document 7. The second set of amendments refers to the enlargement of the access to preparatory assistance under the international assistance portfolio of the Fund for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage, and those are presented under Section 2 of the Annex of your document 7. Allow me to begin my presentation with reference to the first part, which is the simplification for the selection criteria of the Register. And these proposed amendments are the results of a comprehensive and inclusive process involving an expert consultation, as well as intergovernmental discussions under the reflection on a broader implementation of Article 18 of the Convention that was initiated by the 16th session of the committee in 2021. This reflection process was made possible thanks to the generous contribution by Sweden. Notably, a Category 6 meeting of experts took place in April last year in Stockholm, Sweden, and based on the proposals of the experts, the recommendations from the open-ended intergovernmental working group convened in July in 2023 and chaired by Mr. Matan Sundang, Director General of the Institute for Language and Folklore of Sweden, were presented to the 18th session of the committee at the end of last year. So based on recommendation 3 of the working group, the 18Com endorsed the proposed amendments to paragraph 7 of the operational directives in order to simplify the selection criteria for the Register. The proposed adjustments are as follows. Changes to the chapeau of paragraph 7, which means that we would understand that the proposals for the selection to the Register should satisfy all of the selection criteria. The committee also considered that the selection criteria could be simplified, leading to the deletion of criteria P2 and P8, as well as the merging of criteria P1 and P3, and P6 and P7. It was also considered that the selection criteria could be renamed as G1, G2, G3, and so on, instead of carrying the P series, in order to distinguish the new set of selection criteria from the previous system. Please refer to Section 1 of Annex to Document 7. If these amendments are approved by this Assembly, the Secretariat is ready to adjust Form ICH 03 based on these new criteria as early as possible to allow submitting states sufficient time to prepare for the next submission deadline on 31st March 2025 in view of the following cycle, 2026 cycle. So we now come to the proposed amendments to the ODs concerning the extension of access to preparatory international assistance, so the second set of the amendments proposed to you. The committee considered at its 17th session in 2022 the need to broadening the scope of preparatory assistance And then the committee requested that the Secretariat, I quote, elaborate a proposal for changes to the operational directives in order to make it possible for member states with no previous elements inscribed on the representative list to request international assistance for the preparation of their first nomination their own. This proposal was made with reference to Article 20G of the Convention, which foresees that international assistance may be granted for any other purpose that the committee may deem necessary. This proposal is also in line with the spirit of the Convention, which aims to ensure equitable geographical representation in all aspects of its implementation, particularly for the listing mechanisms. It is understood that preparatory assistance would be open to states with no element inscribed on the representative list, regardless of whether or not they have any multinational elements already inscribed. As per the practice of the Convention, priority may be given to those states which receive official development assistance. So looking at the current situation, we understand that a total of 47 states from groups 2, 3, 4, 5A, and 5B could benefit from this enlarged preparatory assistance. With the proposed amendments, the submission deadline and the process of examination described in Section 115 of the OD will remain unchanged, as will the amount requested, which usually ranges between $5,000 and $10,000. Please refer to Section 2 of the annexed document. Once the revisions to the operation directives are approved by the present session of the Assembly, the Secretariat will adjust Form ICH 05 so that states parties with no element inscribed on the representative list can request preparatory assistance by the next deadline, which is 31st March next year, and thereafter. I have finished. Thank you very much for the floor.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now I'm opening the floor for a general debate under agenda item 7. So please do not refer to any specific amendments. We'll take care of this while taking action on the draft resolution. So who wishes to take the floor? Please raise your flag. I see, and I will be closing the speakers list following the third speaker. Brazil, you have a floor. The time limit is 2 minutes. Brazil, you have a floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous félicitons le Secrétariat et les experts pour les propositions de révision des directrices opérationnelles pour la mise en œuvre de l'article 18 et remercions le Royaume de Suède d'avoir soutenu ce travail. Cependant, nous craignons que certaines restrictions bureaucratiques dans le flux d'évaluation des dossiers de bonnes pratiques de sauvegarde ne mettent vos efforts en danger. Les bonnes pratiques ne représentent encore qu'une très faible proportion des éléments examinés par le comité. En raison de restrictions opérationnelles, lors du dernier cycle d'évaluation, elles représentaient 7% des dossiers. Lors du prochain cycle, elles ne représenteront plus que 3% des dossiers analysés par le comité. Il s'agit d'un message contradictoire qui n'encourage pas les pays à investir dans la construction des propositions pour la liste des bonnes pratiques, malgré les mesures de simplification des procédures pour les candidatures et les suggestions pour donner plus de visibilité à cette liste. Nous pensons donc que les bonnes pratiques de sauvegarde sont celles qui expriment le plus clairement l'esprit de la Convention et constituent le mécanisme fondamental pour sa mise en œuvre future. Elles doivent donc être reconnues afin d'exploiter et libérer tout le potentiel de la Convention. À notre avis, la seule façon d'avancer est de la simplification des procédures d'évaluation de ces nominations par l'organe d'évaluation à chaque cycle. Nous encourageons des réflexions et des propositions à cet égard, afin que les efforts déployés ces dernières années pour promouvoir les bonnes pratiques ne soient pas vains. Le Brésil a proposé de petits amendements au projet de décision. Ces amendements ne visent pas à résoudre ces problèmes, mais à souligner son existence et à inviter le secrétariat, les membres du comité et l'organe d'évaluation à explorer les moyens de mieux promouvoir le registre des bonnes pratiques. Monsieur le Président, je vous remercie.
Thank you, Colombia. You have a floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. La delegación de Colombia desea expresar su sincero agradecimiento al Grupo de Trabajo Intergubernamental de Composición Abierta en el marco de la reflexión sobre una aplicación más amplia del artículo 18 de la Convención por las diferentes recomendaciones presentadas para mejorar las directrices operativas relacionadas con el registro de buenas prácticas de salvaguardia de la Convención de 2003. La dedicación del grupo de trabajo es digna de reconocimiento y confiamos en que estas recomendaciones contribuirán significativamente a ampliar la participación global en el registro y el fortalecimiento de la salvaguardia del patrimonio cultural inmaterial. Asimismo, no podemos dejar de mencionar el invaluable apoyo del Reino de Suecia en el proceso de reflexión sobre el artículo 18. Su colaboración ha sido fundamental para avanzar en esta tarea. Estamos seguros de que las reflexiones generadas en este grupo son de gran relevancia y conducirán a recomendaciones exitosas que enriquecerán nuestras prácticas de salvaguardia. En este sentido, Colombia insta a generar sinergias entre las nuevas herramientas digitales que serán diseñadas para promover la fluidez en el intercambio de las buenas prácticas de salvaguardia en el marco del patrimonio inmaterial y otros recursos disponibles. Esto permitirá la lectura más amplia y profunda sobre los proyectos, sobre los ejercicios de salvaguardia y las diversas características de los ámbitos de patrimonio cultural inmaterial. Además, es crucial reconocer que las buenas prácticas de salvaguardia deben ser un aspecto central en el fortalecimiento de las capacidades en este campo. Las mejores prácticas deben integrar los cimientos principales del desarrollo de capacidades con respecto a la salvaguardia del patrimonio vivo. Finalmente, en lo que concierne a la asistencia internacional, el Gobierno de Colombia entiende la importancia del instrumento de la lista.
Please conclude your statement, Madam. Thank you. United Arab Emirates. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving us the floor. Dear colleagues, the UAE supports the proposed amendments to the operational directives, particularly those concerning the criteria for the register of good safeguarding practices. These initiatives align with our shared goal of ensuring that cultural heritage remains vibrant and accessible to all, reflecting the rich diversity of human creativity and traditions. We appreciate the efforts of the open-ended intergovernmental working group and the experts who have diligently worked to improve the visibility and effectiveness of the Register of Good Safeguarding Practices. The simplification of the selection criteria will undoubtedly facilitate broader participation and recognition of exemplary safeguarding practices globally. We believe that by simplifying procedures overall, this will enable a more equitable geographical representation, ensuring that all states parties have the opportunity to contribute to and benefit from the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. And now I will read out the list of speakers. Once you hear your name, just lower your flag. So Austria, Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Barbados, Belgium, Togo, Paraguay, Peru, Guatemala, Palestine. And now it is the time to raise your flag if you wish to take the floor. I see Burkina Faso. Thank you. Anybody else is wishing to take the floor? That's the time to raise your flags. I see none. So I'm closing the list of speakers, and now Republic of Korea, followed by Malaysia. The floor is yours, Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Chair. The Republic of Korea is pleased that the global reflection on the listing mechanisms of the 2003 Convention has resulted in the successful revision of the operational directive. We are convinced that this decision will provide the state parties with increased access to various good practices across the globe. In addition, as discussed extensively, we anticipate the establishment of an online platform for sharing good safeguarding practices, not only to exchange exemplary cases, but also to facilitate active regional dialogues and cooperation. In particular, it is worth highlighting that the multi-model approach, which has been leveraged amid the COVID-19 challenges, continues to facilitate the collection, access, and dissemination of information through online platforms, and further fosters communications on safeguarding living heritage. The discussion on the use of AI technology should also be extended to promote wider community participation and inclusivity, as highlighted at the 18th session of the Intergovernmental Committee. Recalling the founding principle of Article 18 of the 2003 Convention, the Republic of Korea aligns itself with the global efforts to actively participate in strengthening the Convention's safeguarding mechanisms. Thank you.
Thank you. Malaysia, following by Barbados and Belgium. Malaysia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All protocols observed for the sake of brevity. Malaysia would like to thank all the participants of the open-ended working group for their constructive suggestions throughout the meeting for the revision of the operational directives. The refinement of the operational directives is important to strengthen the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage and to ensure the implementation of the Convention is on track. Malaysia strongly agrees with the following salient points highlighted by several state parties during the open-ended group discussions, which are: 1, the amendment of the paragraph 7 of the operational directives to adjust the selection criteria for the registrar to improve, for the register to improve the access to and increase the visibility of the register of good safeguarding practices. 2, the enlargement of the international assistance mechanism to prepare nomination files and proposals in line with the spirit of the Convention. This will encourage more states with no inscribed national elements to submit files or proposals to safeguard their intangible cultural heritage at the national level. Last but not least, Malaysia supports the decision to approve the revisions to the operational directives as contained in the annex of the present resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Belgium. You have a floor.
Okay. Thank you very much. First, the Belgian delegation wishes to congratulate the experts for their excellent work. We thank Sweden for having supported the process, and we also thank the Secretariat for the reports documenting those rich debates. Secondly, we wish to underline that the document 10GA/7 presented at this meeting is of course interesting and welcome, but that it does not fully reflect the richness of the reflection and proposals presented by the meetings of experts and by the Intergovernmental Committee. It was not just an operation of simplification, but the challenge was to develop and enrich the broader use of Article 18 of the 2003 Convention. This is why, echoing the previous interventions by Brazil and Colombia, we propose to add an explicit reference to the set of recommendations of the working group as contained in Annex 1 of document LHA 2318.com11. And in the draft decision set, we propose to delete the title Register of Good Safeguarding Practices, because it's more than only about the register, and to invite the Intergovernmental Committee and the Secretariat to further reflect on the implementation of the recommendations in that annex, and to report about the outcome of this reflection in the next session of the General Assembly. Thirdly, we very strongly support the amendments of the operation directives, with one exception. It's crucial to stay as closely as possible to the 2003 Convention text when formulating and amending operation directives. This is why we think it is not a good idea to refer to so-called, inverted commas, national elements, instead of consistently using the formulation elements of the intangible cultural heritage present in its territory. It's important to remove the adjective national connected to element in this context, but to keep it explicitly open to ICH of communities, groups, and individuals. And that's why we proposed an amendment of draft decision 8 and also
Sir,
of the operational directive.
Please conclude your statement, and we'll be discussing a resolution later on.
I finished.
Thank you so much. Togo, je vous donne la parole.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous voudrons féliciter le Secrétariat avant tout pour ce résumé très succinct d'un travail très complexe et très riche. Nous remercions les experts et le groupe de travail intergouvernemental impliqués dans les recommandations qui nous sont proposées et dans ce travail de simplification pour que le plus grand nombre de biens soient inscrits au patrimoine immatériel. Nous remercions la Suède pour le soutien financier apporté dans le processus de réflexion mené. Nous nous retrouvons bien dans les paragraphes des projets de décision, tant au niveau du registre de bonnes pratiques de sauvegarde que de l'assistance internationale, et sommes ouverts à toute proposition éventuelle permettant de compléter ces dispositions. Nous sommes convaincus que les amendements apportés aux directives permettront d'améliorer la mise en œuvre de la Convention pour une représentation plus équilibrée, plus aisée et de plus de biens à travers le monde entier. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur l'ambassadeur. Paraguay, you have a floor.
Gracias, presidente. Valoramos el trabajo de los expertos y el informe de la Secretaría. Apoyamos el proyecto de enmiendas a las directrices operativas aprobadas por la 18COM, que hoy nos toca discutir, y consideramos que la simplificación de los criterios de selección de programas, proyectos y actividades, en especial el registro de buenas prácticas de salvaguardia y la ampliación del alcance de la asistencia internacional preparatoria, mejorarán los mecanismos de cooperación internacional de la Convención. Teniendo en cuenta que el registro de buenas prácticas de salvaguardia ha sido poco utilizado en comparación con otros mecanismos. Esta simplificación contribuirá a mejorar el acceso y a aumentar la visibilidad del registro. Apoyamos la enmienda de Brasil a fin de asegurar que las recomendaciones del grupo de trabajo se implementen plenamente, promoviendo una mayor diversidad y extensión del registro. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador, and thank you to kudos to our interpreters for the flexibility. And now, before concluding this morning session, and we'll continue with a debate following lunch break, I ask Fumiko to make some announcements. Fumiko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. So you have 3 side events taking place this lunch break. Number 1, hands-on traditional basketry workshop organized by Heritage Alive with NGO Associazione Sant'Antuono Le Battaglie de Pastellessa in Salle des Actes from 12:30. Number 2, intangible cultural heritage in education organized by Slovakia in room 6 from 12:30. Third, a hybrid roundtable discussion on the opportunities and challenges for safeguarding living heritage in Africa. This is about the periodic reporting exercise experience organized by the Secretariat in room 9 from 12:45. And finally, there is a meeting of a European network of focal points for our convention in room 8 from 1:15. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Fumiko. Enjoy your lunch. There is a beautiful sun outside, and be here sharp 2:30 because we need to catch up with time. Thank you.